Hi, my name is Iffy Thomas and I'm 36 years old and I haven't danced properly professionally for about 10 years. But when I was asked to do this video, I thought, yes, absolutely. So if I go back to my youngest childhood memory, I started dancing when I was about 9 years old. And as I grew and I'd tell people I was a dancer, they'd be like, oh yeah, of course you are. And I never really knew what that meant, of course you are. And I think it's because black people are automatically good at dancing. That's kind of what I got a lot, you know, obviously you can dance, you're black. And I don't know if I took that as an offence or not, because actually to dance, and I used to be like, I'm a trained ballet, contemporary, jazz dancer, because I think they just thought I was doing some other kind of dancing. So I always used to emphasise that, and I used to say ballet, even though I wasn't really that ballet, but I used to say it so that people didn't assume that I was talking about a different type of, like, maybe a more African style dance. So not that that would be wrong, but I just thought, so anyway, as I grew up and I trained and I started going for auditions, I used to start to think to myself, I hope there isn't many black girls there. And I remember queuing up and going into the audition and checking out to see how many people were my competition, because I suppose instinctively I knew that they're only going to pick one black girl, maybe a mixed race girl, maybe a black girl. And I remember always comparing my competition to people with the same colour skin as me, rather than based on the talent, or based on the ability, or based on the height, or based on any other kind of physical attribute. I used to think, well, if there's 5 black girls here at the audition, I've got to beat 4 of them. And that's awful to think that. And I think it came from the idea of that there was always one token black girl. And I remember years before I got into the industry, a friend of mine, she was like, they love black girls, so black girls would always be picked. And then they went on to, we just want mixed race girls. And then it went back to black girls. But there's always been, from what I believe, in terms of the commercial world, apart from shows like The Lion King, where they're specifically focused on people of colour, it always felt like they're only going to pick one of us. And I suppose, psychologically, that kind of makes us go against each other. Without knowing, I hung around with loads of black girls and we all actually sat together, but there was that notion between us friends, one of us is going to get it. And I don't know if that's right, if really in every single music video there had to be one black girl with a big afro, you know, there had to be one and they couldn't have 2. So yeah, my experience of racism in the entertainment industry is that a lot of the times when I'd go to jobs, I would feel like only one of us would get a chance.